All right. It's Towley here, and I have been asked to go through my new Barbed build. So this is, I don't even know what version I'm on. This is like version 10 or 15 or something. I've been working on a Barbed build pretty much since Riptides came out in Outsiders in March last year. So every month I usually go back and try to do Barbed based on what we have or new cards or whatever happens. But all of them always have the same results. They're always just kind of okay, but they have blatantly bad matches. This one, surprisingly, has been doing okay into this new meta. It's still not like the greatest. It's not like a top tier deck. It's just like a fun little pet deck, basically, that you can run at competitive events a little bit, but mainly for like, you know, your local armories or smaller side events and big event type areas. Yeah, let's just go right into it. So at the top, you'll see the equipment suite. So obviously the bow is going to be barbed. This is the whole point of the build. This is what we're trying to make work. The half gloves. So we were running bracers for a while, but I found that it just, you know, there was nothing really for it to synergize with. When I was running a lot of the Go Again package in this, it was a little bit better, but I took a lot of that out, as you'll see as I go through it. So I'll explain why this is so okay. Like, it's not amazing, but it does have one really good use. I'll explain that as we get into it. New Horizon, obviously this synergizes really well with our bow. You can flip it and then have an extra arsenal. Perch, just for the block. I never use its ability. Quiver for the fatigue matches, and Trench because it's Trench. So Battering Bolt is one of the best arrows you can run in this deck, just because it's so good into the miss heroes. A lot of those heroes run the chi and other non-actions. So if you hit them and they can't block it out, then yeah, you just get free damage and they have to discard that with this. I've been finding a lot of times when I'm running this with Zen, he just pitches to his ability and uses them all, and it's just stupid because he basically can get around it, but is what it is. Drill Shot, we run this for pretty much everyone who has a fridge, which is pretty much everyone in the meta right now. So, you know, against KO, against Warriors, all those people, you basically get the piercing and you get to put the -1 counter on it afterwards if it hits. Endless Arrow, good solid arrow. I only run 2 of though because in this meta it's not as important because it's just damage. It doesn't really do much. Same with the Falcon Wing. This is basically just in there for the Illusionist matchup because again, these two just being raw damage. No one cares about that right now. No one's blocking. This is just a go fast aggro match meta. So yeah, those are just them for that reason. Fletch, this is pretty good when paired with the right arrow, but bad when paired with the not wanting to block arrows. So if I pair this with Endless, no one cares, they'll take it. But if I pair this against a Zen with a Battering Bolt and give it an aim counter, well, yeah, then we're talking. Immobilizing Shot, this one, obviously awesome. This one's so good against Zen. This one's good against a lot of people right now, actually. The only one this isn't really good against is Enigma because of all her instants, but other than that, like, this is really good into KO. Really good into Zen, like I said. Really good into Azalea, I guess. Yeah, she can't buff it. Yeah, it's good. Lace. So I run 2 of the laces, Blood Rot and Inertia. Basically, I'm only running these as filler in case we one day get better aim counter buffs. As of right now, they're just a way to get +3 into flip so that we can load the aim counter on them. But also, the Blood Rot one is pretty good, and Inertia is pretty good into some people, but yeah, I wish these were a little bit more disruptive, but it is what it is. Murkmire we run 2 of, mainly for Enigma. Sometimes Prism, they can come in late game if you codex them. Murky Water, this is the big boy that inspired the build. This is obviously like one of our best arrows we've gotten in a while. I have closed out so many games with this recently, just with that, you know, dominate. It makes you feel like Azalea Light when you do it. This is such a good card. I love this card. This card is what made this build work. Premeditate, this is probably the best buff that we run that's non-aim related. This is just a great generic buff that lets you play out your whole hand and still get a ponder if it hits. I find that a lot of times with this deck, we are playing out our whole hands. This deck is really reliant on keeping 3 cards in hand because you need a blue, a buff, and an arrow. So This is a really hardly ever blocking deck. Sometimes you'll get your hand of like, oh, this hand sucks, I have to basically block with it, and yeah, that is what it is. But mainly you're blocking with one card and then using 3 to send something. So Premeditate plays into that plan really well because it lets us get an arsenal and then come in next turn with a bigger turn or use another blocking card. Remorseless, this was mainly in for, all the aggro matchups, but I've been finding that all of them except for Zen are pretty doable without it. So this is actually, I might be considering cutting this. We're not sure yet, just because it's so good into the matches it's good into, but it's into Zen, it's not really doing much. He just takes it and sends, 30 back at you. So what, he takes 7 damage, you take 30. So it's not the greatest into that matchup unless it's really late game. But if you've gotten to that point late game where you're past turn 7 or 8 with Zen, you're pretty much on pace to win. So I'm not sure about this yet. I'm going to do more testing with it into Zen and see if I can cut it and see if anything else goes in. But right now, yeah, I'm keeping it in just because I like the card. Seek, so another really good buff. The only thing that sucks about this is when you draw it with Inertia or when you draw it with Sedation Shot, and you draw it with anything that they can just swap out the effect for Inertia effect, then they don't discard them. But if they don't do that, then yeah, it's a good solid card. It's good at wiping, their hand. But a lot of times too, I find that you're against aggro people. If they get hit with this, they'll just try their best to output as much damage as they can and dump their whole hand, which makes sense. But in those situations, this ends up being kind of bad because you can end up taking a lot more damage when you hit with this. So again, it's just like the lace buffs. This is in here mainly because we don't have that many aim buffs. But when we get more, this might be a consideration to be cut. I would definitely cut lace with Inertia first, obviously, because this is the same effect, just worse. But Seek would be probably close on the cutting block after probably, yeah, lace. Sleep Dart. This is mainly in for a lot of the meta heroes right now because of their abilities or what they rely on. If you hit Levia with this, you can shut down her whole turn and make her take a bunch of damage. If you hit with Zen with this, he can't chi and do his stupid thing. This is just really good into a majority of the field. Same with KO. If you hit KO with this, he doesn't get those discard become 6s. I once hit a KO with this. He played Blood Rush Bellows on his turn, discarded a 5. He didn't, he basically whiffed the discard because of this. So that's a really good card. So this is an interesting card that we run one of. The reason I've been running a one of on it is mainly for pairing with the gloves. So this is a tech that I actually found. I was watching Trade Federation's video based on his Barbed, and he said that he ran this for the resources. And yeah, it works cool having it in for that reason. But for some reason, that's what it took for me to click and understand that I can use it solely to buff this. It basically turns a hand of 2 cards into a free arrow with +4. Like this is actually pretty good in this tech right now, especially if you get Murky. If you Murky Dominate, you're sending Murky in for 11 just off this card and 1 blue. Codex, obviously, Codex. Deadeye, so this is like what I was talking about when I was saying that we need more aim buffs. This card is so good. If you pair this again with Murky, or you pair it with Battering Bolt, or you pair it with Fletch and another arrow, this card is so much value. Not only are they going to try and block it out, but if they're a hero that has a lot of non-blocks, then you just get to discard that last card in their hand that's a non-block. I've played this into KO, and I've hit and been able to take away a couple, good cards from them, playing this into New and Zen and Enigma. Maybe not so much Enigma because she can just plop out all the ward, but New and Zen, this is really good into as well to take their chi. If they haven't transcended yet or they can't transcend with the card, this just snatches it from them. Okay, Rain Razors. This one is like, it's weird looking at first glance. The reason we're running this is because we need more ways to close out games. So Murky, obviously being dominated is a way to close out games. It's evasion. This is exactly what this is. I was running 3 back in the beginning, but I found that, drawing the no blocks and only giving +2, it was kind of rough. So now that I run 2, I find that it's been really good. I try and trench them away to hide them, and then late game have them come in with like a Remorseless or an Infecting Shot or something that'll give me an effect that like really stops their turn so I can gain momentum or tempo back late game. So it's really good at pushing that late game tempo trade and basically giving you back and also pushing a little bit of damage. Classic traps. Yeah, not much to say about these that we haven't said already. We run Infecting and Sedation for our blues just because they're really strong blues on their own. When they get the aim counter, they're coming in with 4. So a 4 blue is really nuts. Not to talk about their effect as well, like Blood Rot Pox. If this hits, this is basically a blue 6. This is a really good effect. Pairing it with other effects as well. If you compare it with another Blood Rot, a Fletch, any of these other effects, if you compare it with Deadeye or Pre-Med, you're just sending in a pretty good solid arrow that just so happens to be blue, and it also blocks 3. Intoxicating. This is one that I still just don't really care for. It just is in here because it's a 0 blue 3 block, and that happens to be an arrow. I've used it as arrows many times just because sometimes it's the only arrow you have in your hand, but every single time I use this arrow and it hits, they always send CNC right back at me for 7 with go again. It's super annoying, but unless we get another good blue that's in 0 cost, blocks 3 arrow, I'm going to probably still run this, but I'm not big on it. Yeah, Spike Pit, obviously, we run that. Widowmaker, this was an interesting blue that I chose. The reason why is because I look at it being, it's a late game card, we're pitching it or blocking with it, but if it comes in late game and they've used their armor, or if, like a lot of people nowadays, their armor is temper, so we have a lot of, like Kayo, for example, all of his armor is temper, Zen, all of his armor is a one-time use, Azalea, she doesn't really have much that she can block with either. If she's used her boots and her arms, then yeah, late game, this is just basically going to either steal armor from them or take 2 cards. So it's literally just give me 2 cards late game, and that's why I run it, to try and, close out some of those fatigue matches. The sideboard is basically our trap suite. So, obviously we got the frailty traps, we got the inertia traps, we got the boulder traps, and we got the tar pit traps. Not much really to say about them that we haven't said already. They're just, really good solid traps. I've been tinkering in running the traps that are relevant into each hero, and that was working okay. And then a couple people suggested I just fat stack and just go nuts, especially since a lot of heroes are kind of triggering all of these traps eventually. So I did start doing that, and I have seen my win rate increase a little bit since it, especially into, surprisingly, Zen. Inertia, I actually have been running into Zen a lot, and it's huge because it stops him from having a big turn next turn, and usually he's always going to trigger it when he comes in with Crouching Tigers, if they're bonused from his Tiger Shukos. So that's really good. Also, Remembrance. So running one of just for the fatigue matches, because we have the quiver as well, which essentially acts as another one. So that's just going to be for the really long out, drawn out, grindy matches. I haven't really had a chance to use this yet, except for into one Bolton. But other than that, yeah, it's just in there in case. So that's essentially what I've been running. We have a pretty massive maybe pile as well. I'm not going to go into all this stuff, but I can just show it off here. So I've been finding that a lot of the matches that are tough are the Illusionist and Kano, for obvious reasons. Kano is just unwinnable, but Illusionist is tough because there's not a lot of go again. So I have Bolton in the sideboard for maybe those, and then also I was tinkering with maybe Ravenous and a third Falcon Wing if that needs be. I still need to test a lot more. This is still like pretty early days of this deck. I only built it, I think it was like a week ago or something. So yeah, that's basically where I sit right now. So with my results, we're doing okay. So obviously I wanted to test a lot of the Zen match. I just wanted to see, because he's going to be the big deck to beat. So I feel like his match is literally a flip of a coin. It's if he happens to go off when you can't stop him, then yeah, you're going to lose. But if you can slow it down and, have enough disruption, you can get there. Or if you can survive the turn that he breaks all of his armor, I think you can get there after that as well. Prism, I found, is actually very difficult when they know how to play into you. When they're doing that really slow grind and then they set up the ALS loop, that's how I lost with this one. These Prisms I won were basically just playing normal Prism game. I can usually beat that pretty good. New, I feel like heavily favored. KO, I'm actually like pretty convinced this is favored as well. Katsu feels like it was favored. Kosai was favored. Enigma was a tough one as well. This was like let down to the last card, I'm pretty sure, in this game. So basically that's just, I think I got lucky. I don't know if I can beat a good Enigma with this deck. Dash, I feel like your favorite as well. I just got really unlucky and high rolled in this one. He had like 3 turns back to back of maximum velocity, so I couldn't do much. But the other ones where it's more balanced and he isn't drawing his best cards every turn, I feel like it's a lot more fair. Azalea is hit or miss. I'm surprised I don't have more Azalea losses on this. I had another version of this deck I was testing beforehand. I had a lot more results with. I had Azalea. I think I lost like the majority of the games with Azalea. And then I had Bolton, I had Olympia, and I had a couple others that I won into as well. But the Azalea match, I don't think this is an accurate representation of it because I do think it's more 50-50. I think it's very, very reliant on what she comes at you with and when, and then what you can send back at her. So if you're both sending back your best arrows, then yeah, it's just going to be whoever can do the most damage first, which is usually Azalea. But if she whiffs once or twice, or you draw Buzzsaw at the right moment, then you can completely switch over a game and take everything you need from it to win. Or if you just start the game off with really good arrows that just stop her from doing her turn and you hit them, then yeah, you're good from there. Yeah, so we can take it for a spin. I guess unfortunately the only game up right now is new. Never mind. Doesn't look like that game is up. Wow, not a lot of people playing Talishar tonight. Dory, okay. Oh, come on. Okay, KO. Alright, we're doing KO. Oof, weird hand. This is basically just a block hand. Maybe even I use Rain Razors to load Seek. Draw a full hand. Get a bigger turn next turn. Oof. That's not bad. Wonder if he just gives me all his armor. That's the other thing, is sometimes it sucks when you draw double blue arrows together with no red arrow. But it's what happens. No way he gives me all that. Okay, thank you. I think I block with Sleep Dart here. Sleep Dart's probably better into the match, but Remorseless is more like kind of sneaky, and I think he will take the Remorseless. Okay. He's just going to give me all his armor. Turn 2. I'm okay with that. I'll return the favor. I'll give him some of mine early. Oh, he probably has Blood Rush in his hand. Jesus Christ. So he still has 1 Send Packing, 1 Strength Resolve, and 2 CNCs left for Arsenal Disruption. That's pretty much the only disruption that he runs, as far as I know. Oh wait, he's running Humble. Weird. Fuck it, we just push. I have no big arrow. So I probably send Sleep Dart or Remorseless next turn. I do just want to slow him down. Oh my god. That happened last time I fought KO. Why would he take it? He probably has a Blood Rush. Oh wait, what am I doing? Forgot to block. Too busy looking at my graveyard. I think he sends a CNC, passes. I'll trench it, block with New Horizon. Oh. Yeah, I take this. Because now I can give an aim counter to Murky. Oh wait, how did I have go again? Oh, I'd love it if he took it all. And then I just draw traps. I'm going to try and get Tar Put and Inertia in if it hits. Weird. Alright, so he definitely has go again. And he definitely has buff attack, so that's fine. Oh, and I can stop the go again. Look at that. Oh, weird. Frailty doesn't trigger till the end of it. That makes sense, I guess. Okay, we try to close it with Murky. I think this might be it. Unless he has that de-react. Alright, well, there you go. Unfortunately, that's all I have time for again. With only one game, I have to get back to work. But, yeah, if you have any questions or you want to help try and brew this build to be a little bit more, just, hit me up in the Discord. I'm always willing to talk about the Barbed build. I want this to work so bad. And seeing it run this effectively into a KO is actually, pretty strong. I know it was, kind of budget KO. Looks like he's running just the Armory deck with some CNCs and Blood Rushes. Oh, and Send Packings. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. If you guys want any more content on this build, I'll be glad to do some more videos later on. But yeah, have a good one.